Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 2024 Wiseburg Unified School District Board Meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. Wendy, do we have any public comments on closed session items?
We do not.
All right, seeing none, we will now recess the closed session and we will reconvene back for open session at 6:00 p.m. this evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 2024 Wiseburg Unified School District Board Meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:12 p.m. And thank you for bearing with us through these little technical difficulties. We have a pretty full agenda this evening. We have a public hearing on instruction and textbook materials. We have a presentation from NAZ regarding our bond update, and we also have a special presentation from our principal regarding Lisa regarding Hollywood, the Holly Glen site, not Hollywood. So with that, Wendy, would you please take roll call?
Mr. Benuelos,
Present.
Dr. Goldman,
Here.
Present.
Ms. Legaspi, Mr. Martinez.
Present.
Thank you.
And Sean, would you please?
Absolutely. Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So nice to see the full cabinet and the full board. It's been a while, so. All right, we have no items to report from closed session this evening. Do I have a motion and a second for adoption of the agenda?
You have a motion?
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Wendy, do we have any comments from the public on non-agenda items?
No public comments.
All
Are
right.
you able to see hands raised if there's hands raised still?
I'll hear you.
You can actually see them or hear.
Oh, no, I'm just raising hands. Can see that. No public comments.
All right, that leads us to public hearing on textbooks and instructional materials compliance for 24-25. I think this is something that we do on an annual basis. I think I have to open this at 6:14 p.m. Is that correct, Wendy?
Yes.
Right? And any comments with regards to the item? Are you receiving anything? Or? Okay.
No, it's just it was exactly what you just said, that this is something that we do every year just to ensure our students have all the materials they need to be successful in class. We do.
Perfect, and with that, we can close it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Maggie, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, brilliant.
And so I think we do a roll call on this, Wendy, or I just a hearing, actually, we're not voting here. All right, that leaves us a special presentation. Noemi, welcome.
I would be free.
Buckle your seats.
I know, thank you. Is this on? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, board members, members of the audience. Pleasure to be back to provide a bond program update number 12. As you know, we have been alternating updates at the board meetings. The last board meeting, we focused on projects that were currently under design. This particular update will focus on projects under construction and where we are up to today. And I'll conclude with some general updates. So with that, I'll start with our first project, which is the network infrastructure project. As you know, this is phase 3. We awarded the contract to NWM Carousel. They started the project on June 25th, just like a couple of months ago. And actually, no, it was a board approved on June 25th, and they commenced on July 1st. Progress is steady. We have not had any interruptions to instruction. The teacher laptop deployment has been completed 100%. This is, so the column here to the left is all of the phase one progress to date at all 4 of our school sites. PA and clocks, you can see the percentage there complete, 96% complete. Wireless access points, the installation is 40%. The fiber installation and termination, that's about 90 to 100%, depending on the site. Camera installation is 40 to almost 99%, so we're all very close to completing the camera project. And then the boardroom equipment upgrade, which is long overdue, is scheduled to start on September 27th and be completed by before the next board meeting.
So the next board meeting, we'll have the Goldman display on.
Oh, that is the plan, yes.
Question for teachers recently as to when the access points will be implemented so that speeds increase.
So the wireless access points the installation has started. We're only about 40% complete. And we are, let's see, they didn't give me that up. Do you know what school they're at?
The APs?
Where the APs?
No, but I can answer the question a little more generally.
Sure.
Part of the issue, and Tony's here too, so I mean, Tony may be able to add to this. Just the actual deployment of those devices isn't what's gonna speed up our internet. Yes, it'll ultimately help. The bigger issues are switching and all of the data center stuff. So until that's in and switched over, it's really, it's gonna run the same. What we did do this morning, thanks to Tony, he's back there, is we were able to reset we replaced our firewall. What was happening is we had a bunch of traffic that was getting kind of jammed into the old firewall that was managed by Spectrum. And as part of this upgrade, we did have a new firewall that was purchased as well. That was not supposed to be deployed as soon as it was, and probably is a little bit jumping ahead, but we had to stop the bleeding, I guess, in some ways. We had to fix the problem as best we could. So the recommendation from Tony and NWN was to install this in firewall. So we started there, so speeds should have been better today. They seem like it from ours, we're all using the internet wireless too. It was definitely better today for us in the district office than it was the last couple days.
To let the teachers know what's going on, should we just look at the January 31st date as the switch date, basically?
Basically, so
Just an
the
expectation.
NWN process is scheduled to be completed for phase one alone by January. However, my understanding is that they cannot start the Spectrum switchover, which will completely upgrade our internet until all phase one is
Okay,
done. So it should be around January 31st or shortly after that we'll be doing the full switch over to Spectrum.
So that's that switch over, which will, to answer your question, will really speed things up, right?
Correct.
But let me go back to Neil's question. On the wireless access points at each of the classrooms, I know we're 40%. When do we think we're gonna be 100%? Are we a month away or, because the wireless access points won't take very long, right?
They won't, but they were
Okay.
focusing on the other projects, perhaps Tony knows, and I apologize, this is the project that Cherie has been managing, but she couldn't join us today. So I only have her notes, I'm letting her run this project and not staying away. So I don't have a lot of information.
I'd be happy to speak on the matter, being that I work closely with this project in NWN every day. It has been a challenge, but a welcome challenge, and we are making a ton of progress every single day. So essentially, it has to happen in sequence. We can't install one technology before we install the proper technology so that it supports it. And as Dr. Silvers mentioned, our actual switching is really going to have to happen before everything else, and that's the most complicated part. So as far as a hard date, January 31st is everything's going to be complete by that date, but the cutovers from school site to school site will happen as early as December in winter break. Is really what we're trying to do, is avoid instruction interruption, exactly. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And some of the percentages there, they may be physically installed, but again, until we have everything ready and in the right order to cut over, they may be ready to go, but they kind of all depend on each other, if that
So,
makes sense.
so I guess the main question, if I'm looking at the wireless access points, right? The question I would have, and I'm thinking of the classrooms, there's no disruption right now to the teaching or or to access to the internet or anything like that for the teachers, right?
Huge disruptions. Yeah, there were huge disruptions to the.
There are.
To the
Because they-
entire, to our entire network. I'm sorry, Tony, I don't wanna go. You-
Absolutely.
I know,
There haven't been interruptions regarding the work that we're doing, but in terms of the antiquated equipment that we're running on, there have been interruptions daily. And that's why we've had to kind of reprioritize, as Dr. Silvers mentioned, the firewall so that we can stop the bleeding.
And just, I just wanna kind of bring us back to, cause I've been really involved in this project as well, and kind of, sort of biting my tongue, because, you know, we were certainly messaging that this was gonna be done, you know, by the start of the school year, you know, and it just unfortunately with, we can't control the transportation of the machinery of all the equipment that gets shipped and just timelines and so forth, so that's what we struggle with, was getting the right equipment to be able to push this project forward as quickly as we had, you know, hoped for or anticipated. But I think some of the things that, you know, Tony's come in right off the bat and really tried to mitigate some of those issues, you know, at least in the day-to-day, basically add more paper clips and rubber bands just to make it so that it, you know, that we're able to function through December. And it's not perfect, and so yes, there are disruptions. Hopefully this fix this morning or yesterday is gonna allow us to a little bit of a free flow here until we actually get this cut over. Then we'll push, I mean, hopefully we push and it's not December, it's November, you know, I mean, any few weeks we can get.
Please keep us updated.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tony. NWN has been great. I mean, they extremely responsive. Anything that we bring up to their attention, they're on it. And like Dr. Silvers indicated, it has to do with equipment delivery. So as equipment becomes available, they are attacking those sites and getting to the installations as soon as possible. I did want to point out phase two. Phase two is the door access controls project that is a little bit more involved. We have to hire an architect for that, and as you know, at the last board meeting, the board approved a contract with PBK Architects for this particular project. We have since walked all the sites with their engineers, and we had a kickoff meeting on Monday for this project. So we definitely are hitting the ground running. But it is 3 sites, technically 4, but the beauty of Del Air is that we had already started the door access control process as part of the modernization. So those plans are going into DSA at the end of this month, so at least that site will be ready to go for sure by summer 2025, assuming we complete the design on time, which I know on our end we'll push for that, and we will. The unknown is always DSA. And that's why we're tentatively planning for summer 2025 for the remainder 3 sites, but that potentially might change.
One little thing, it's not related to this, but it just reminded me that the clicking speaker in the front of WMS. What is that? Can we not fix this?
So they have come out a couple of times, it's a ghost, sound that it makes. It's really weird and hard to identify what's causing it. I don't know if you've heard anything different.
Despite the clicking, the speaker does work. We were waiting on the replacement for that speaker, rather than removing it entirely. They came in yesterday, so we're gonna get those up in the next days.
Yes.
Speaker causing it, it's the speaker.
Okay. Thank you.
We had one that was saying, hello, hello. That was weird. It's been fixed though. Okay, with no other questions, I'll move to the next project, the Weisberg Da Vinci Soccer Field project. You got to see it earlier, you got to walk it. As you can see, we have made tremendous progress. It's no longer a dirt field. We're very close to final completion. Our project scheduled to be, and it says September 9th, should have just got that. Should have been October 9th. That is our substantial completion date with substantial completion was September 9th with final completion on October 10th. We have currently 1 change order from Tecate for the addition of the Weisberg USD logo. We do have 1 potential change order that will be coming to the board as well. I'm hoping that by the next board meeting, I'll review what our PCOs, our potential change orders, and do reconciliation and bring whatever. If we have to bring 1 for approval, we'll bring it at the next board meeting. I am carrying a $40,000 allowance. We mentioned the irrigation that we took a credit, so that helped our budget. So we might be able to walk away actually with credit to this project versus a change order. Right now, I'm reflecting it as a change order because we haven't finalized all the PCOs. But by the next board meeting, we'll have an update as we close the project out. Any questions?
Just a comment on this one, just wanted to, again, thank our community for support with their bond measure, because without that, we wouldn't have had the financing and the funding to complete this project that, as a lot of you know, has been a long time coming in our community, so it's a huge success for all of us, for our community, for Da Vinci, for Weisburn. Fantastic project, very excited to see it come to fruition. And also, Dr. Shoulders, I understand we're gonna have a dedication ceremony that's to be scheduled, so you may have an update later for that, but looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Very bouncy.
And no infill, which is key. That's a key part to remember here. Just some pictures for members of the audience. I know you guys got to see it in person. You can see the rolls of the turf being rolled out by the employees here. The logo installation in the bottom corner, and an aerial view from the gymnasium building roof. And this is a view from Da Vinci from the second floor roof. We're very close to completion. The chain link fencing is going in right now, the fabric, basically, all the posts are in. Netting fencing, the netting is supposed to be installed next week. We were trying to target installing it at the end of this week, but it's looking more like next week. And we're scheduled to conduct our punch walk on Tuesday, October 1st, with the entire team. So we're gonna use our typical owners meeting that we would have that time to do the punch walk. And our goal is to be able to turn it over for use after October 11th. And as Roger indicated, we're looking at potentially having a ribbon cutting at the end of October. We're exploring a couple of dates, either October 23rd, which is a Wednesday, or potentially October 25th, which is a Friday.
So in time for soccer season, right?
So I mentioned there was one other potential change order that might be coming, and that's for padding for the Muscle lights. As you can see, it is an aero field. It is compliant, CIF compliant, and FHS compliant. However, because it is an aero field and we want to make sure that students are safe.
You want them added.
Correct. So we have requested specifications from PBK. They sent that out. It's out for pricing at this time. So as soon as I have that information, I'll bring it at the next board meeting.
And remind me, the netting that you're talking about, it goes all on. all
No, the
four
netting
sides?
is only where the tall posts, those four that you can see right at the goal
Okay.
box. It's on both ends. So these four here, just for soccer ball. And then the other posts, the lower ones that you see are for the chain link fence that is being installed around the entire perimeter of the field. Okay, moving on to the next project, Del Air Elementary School TK conversion project. Just a reminder, this was the addition of one single occupancy student restroom for TK. We started this project right after school ended on June 14th. We were substantially completed by August 9th, and we reached final completion on September 10th. At the next board meeting, we will be bringing this project as an approval of notice of completion so that we can finally close this project out. We were carrying an allowance of $20,000 for any potential changes or unforeseen conditions, which we did encounter unforeseen conditions. Fortunately, even with that, we still have a remaining balance of $6,100. So it's a credit to the project versus an app. And here are some pictures, the cutest little tiny toilet you have ever seen. Pictures don't do it justice. It's so cute. Everyone that walks in, they're like, "Oh my goodness."
It really is 3 inches tall.
We needed to have Dr. Silver's get that scale.
We should have done that, but I didn't really want to put it. I'll have to do that now. And then.
This video does that. by the way.
Sean.
But you can go there.
I mean,
initiation for Sean. The next project is Del Air Elementary School Roof Replacement Project. You saw pictures at the last board meeting. When we had the roof exposed, I showed some of the pictures. There was significant water damage, even plywood damage to the roof. Here you can see that they're installing the last coating, which is the last step. And I have some additional pictures in just a second. This project also started June 14th. We completed August 16th for substantial completion. And we had final completion on September 15th. That includes all punch list items that have been addressed. Training warranty period has started. And 0 change orders to this project as well. So I'm very pleased to report on all of these projects because as of today, we do not have any ads, which is rare.
Like that number.
Extremely rare
That's great.
to see no changes on a project.
Yeah. Well done.
And this is the final product. This is the last final code. And this is a reminder, a 30-year roof. So this is exactly what we have planned for all of our other sites going forward.
We have some kind of notation about the extension at 20 years.
We do. We do. It's been documented. Moving on to the solar projects, we'll start with Del Air Elementary School. Project started August 5th. Substantial completion is planned for October 1st. As you may recall, we had different fence line colors. Started with the red, meaning the entire footprint of the construction project. Then we scaled down to green. And now we're finally in the final stages of this particular project down to yellow, which is a minimal footprint. They're working on the AC electrical. That started on September 9th and we're scheduled to be completed by October 1st. By then, all fencing will be removed for this portion of the work. As a reminder, this is strictly the solar. There's a second part which has its own A numbers, which is the battery storage system and the EV charging stations. Those actually, we have the back check appointment with DSA scheduled for this Thursday. And hopefully we'll get all comments addressed at that time. And if not, generally it's within that week or two. As soon as we get approval, then SiteLogic will be able to provide a construction schedule for the next and final phase of the solar project. But this will not affect our switching of the equipment. We'll be able to do that as soon as we're close. As soon as we get SDE out and confirm that everything's done.
When we walked the site beforehand, I think there was like the next day or the day after, there was some need to trench another.
That's the underground boring.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And that has since been completed.
Okay.
So what we do, pictures that, or when you were out there for the bottom site committee, that was the steel erection. You could see all of the steel being installed. The way they run all of the wiring and cabling to the main electrical panel is rather than doing trenches all across the campus, they do underground boring. So selected locations and everything goes underground. Keep it clean, keep it minimal disruption to the site. Of course, nothing's perfect. There is some interruption, but it would be a hell of a lot better than trenches all across.
That's, I think someone used the word trenches, I was trying to understand.
Right, no, it's underground boring.
Great. Thank you.
So in making these live, SE needs to come out and approve.
Yes.
Do they do them by site or do we need to have them all completed before? we
It's
do
by
them?
site. So every single site before we started, so essentially at the same time that we submitted to DSA, we submitted our interconnection application. Even though we hadn't even started construction, but we know how long SE is taking, especially with the IRA funding.
Right.
There was a lot of overwhelming, I guess, amount of school districts and even homes that were trying to take advantage of the IRA. Because of that, even SCE was being impacted with an overwhelming amount of applications. So we got in early for a number of reasons. One, obviously, because we know how long they're going to take. So we submitted our interconnection application early, but more importantly, so that we could be grandfathered in under the NEM 2.0 versus 3.0, which changed drastically and would significantly reduce our projected savings for this project. We were grandfathered in for all 4 sites
So
for
do we have
NEM.
SE scheduled at this point or?
They won't give us a date until we're done. So the minute we're 100%, which Delaire will be the first one, that's when we call them out, schedule the inspection. We can try to schedule it, but they'll tell us when they're available. Unfortunately, that's another unknown. I've heard from other districts that they're taking months to respond, which is a shame because we're ready to go. Oh, we'll be ready to go at least at this particular site by November 5th.
And just into the yellow comment, and I'll stop, guys,
Yeah.
sorry, the teachers and staff are able to park there now, yes?
Yes.
Great.
So we have opened up quite a bit of parking. So by the time we hit the minimal footprint of yellow, it's really limited to, and you'll see it in another picture. It might be here actually. And now this one, well, the one to the left, you can see that the cars are parked and see that's the minimal footprint. So it'll encompass maybe 2 stalls at a time or 3, depending if it's a double bay, then you'll have 4.
That is aviation right now.
Correct. And we'll get to aviation next. Aviation started August 19th. We'll be reaching substantial completion for aviation on October 9th. We are currently also in the yellow, the minimal footprint. It's almost running parallel to Delaire. We'll be able to remove fencing by October 9th, so all fencing will be removed. And here you can see the minimal footprint. The picture to the right, you can see that only as that particular stall is being affected. The stall right next to the blue car, and then in the section, there's a couple more.
Basically around the posts.
Pretty much. And that's because they're running, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. They're running the, so they'll do a boring there and run the conduit and then do another boring closer to the electrical panel and then obviously tie it. Okay, moving on to Hollow Glen Elementary School. Started the project on September 9th. We are targeting October 14th for substantial completion. We're still in the green. We, as a matter of fact, just started on the green footprint. We were supposed to start it since Monday. I drove by the site on, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday. I drove by it yesterday and they had not scaled back to green. And Elisa's here. Did they scale to green today?
Not that I saw.
Okay.
I admittedly did not look at the end of the day today, but I did not as of this morning.
Okay, so we made it a point to call SiteLogic. I drove by all the sites yesterday and noticed that they had not met that green. I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason, but I was assured that it would be, that it was happening at the end of the day yesterday, so I'll have to follow up. We're targeting being done with this project by October 14th, at least a substantial completion portion of it. And they're currently doing the underground boring for this particular site. There's a few more pictures. At least all of the steel and columns and solar panels have been installed. All AC wiring has been completed as well. Last school is Weisberg Middle School. We started on 9/16. That's basically when they mobilized. This week is, as of today, they were going to start drilling for the erection of the steel. And we are currently still in the red. So what you see is pretty much an actual picture of Weisberg Middle School. You can see all 3 of the fins like colors there. It's the last one to start. We're targeting being done by November 8th. This is the temp parking lot that we created. I'm not sure if you've driven by it or have seen it in the dirt lot in the 135th and aviation lot. It's actually working very well. I drove it myself. I was a little concerned of the drop, but it's once you actually drive, it's quite gradual. And there were several cars parked there yesterday, and they're still using the small lot that we created in the hard courts as part of the middle school as well. So they're taking both currently.
On the weekend, I'm just curious, because my son was ill over the weekend. We didn't go to the soccer game after the fields were closed, but they usually have soccer games on middle school. Is that parking lot open to visitors on the weekends?
I believe so, yes. that was, something that was arranged by Archie, by M&O. I don't, not sure.
I know what we're trying.
But he did specifically ask if that could be used. And we said,
Yeah, I'm not sure we're doing that. I think what we're trying to do is, allow, parking on ISIS, but we're kind of working through the city. I don't know, Nisha, if you have an update on that, but.
I don't think we're allowing parking there just for safety reasons with the kiddos, but that was my last understanding.
That were we able to work with the city at all to provide some access on ISIS at all?
There was a meeting tonight of city council, and I'm gonna be following up with the chief. There were several items, which I was gonna talk about in my update too, several items that we were working on.
Okay.
Hopefully have some direction tomorrow.
All right.
So do you think there's probably a big impact on the weekend with the soccer games there and families coming in? So just curious about, yeah, how we're providing for that, if we're allowing the use of those fields to continue, but no longer providing parking because of the construction.
We were thinking of just like shutting the fields down completely.
Oh, yeah, that'll go over like. very-
No. You know, it would be worth us.
Back here.
It would probably be worth us taking a walk. I mean, the concern obviously is it's not a super stable, I mean, it's stable enough, you know. Okay.
It's fairly leveled. And we added the gravel to those areas that were unleveled. They rolled the field, so, I mean, they planned it as much as possible to make it safe.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
And some general updates. I know, Neil, you were asking about the CalShape project. We have completed that involved. It was a three-step process. The first step was to conduct an assessment of all of the HVAC units at every single site, as well as the replacement of filters and CO2 monitors, sensors, I'm sorry, CO2 sensors. And the last piece was the installation of Pelican thermostats at classrooms only. That didn't include some of the other spaces such as a lounge, admin, NPR. It was the funds were limited to classrooms at this time. The contract that was awarded to SiteLogic for this effort was dollar for dollar what the grant value was for.
So, had a question, I think, last time, the last board meeting. So CalShape was recently suspended by the state of California. Is that gonna affect us at all?
No.
So we're kind of grandfathered, if
So-
you will?
Correct, and we have already received some of our funding. As a matter of fact, just I believe last week, Shelley indicated that we received another partial payment for Del Air. So,
This program was recently suspended by the state.
Correct.
I'm glad.
right, so the way that the funding worked is that the CEC upfronted some money to the districts for the assessment portion of it to cover that cost, which we did. We paid for that, and those funds have been released. Once the companies completed the HVAC assessment, then those assessments were uploaded to the CEC website. Once they've reviewed, if they had any comments, which they did for Del Air, CEC came back with several comments. Those comments were addressed. They accepted the report as submitted, and they released that portion of an additional $25,000. So the last piece of it is just for the Pelicans, thermostats, and the filter changing. So what they called maintenance
Okay.
portion of the work,
And what percentage of our classrooms were, just all of them?
all of them,
That's it.
all classrooms.
We're very fortunate.
And I mean, it takes some education, obviously, and some getting used to it, because before the thermostats were, anyone could pretty much adjust to whatever temperature they desired. Unfortunately, now, but it's done for a reason, it has to be at a district standard, that they only have the ability to overwrite either up 2 degrees or down 2 degrees, which is a common standard across all districts, in order to keep energy cost reasonable.
Got it.
And to make sure that they preserve the life of the HVAC units, because if one is running at extreme low heat and the other one is not, it just creates a problem. And we saw it when we were walking Del Air.
Yeah.
That particular teacher was running it extremely cold to the point that it froze and it started leaking. The minute that we change the temperature, immediately it stopped leaking. So that's the reason why programmable units are better, but unfortunately it takes
But do they have a clicking sound?
Did we get that feature included?
Not that but we can add it. Solar projects, I did want to point out that I have been working with King Consulting regarding trying to maximize every dollar for the district. We have gone ahead and provided the information that they needed to successfully submit applications to the California Department of Education. We're going to use modernization eligibility solar projects to qualify under that category so that we can start seeing some of that money earlier. Earlier doesn't mean right away. Earlier in OPSC translates to about 3 years from now. More importantly, it's contingent on the statewide bond passing, which we're hopeful that it will pass. And our goal is to get in line, obviously get in that queue as soon as possible. So now that we have submitted to CDE, the next step, which hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks from now, we'll have CDE approval. And then the next step is to submit immediately to OPSC so that we can at least get in line. And that translates to $4.9 million across 4 sites in eligibility that can go back to our projects. And then lastly, you have seen privacy fence being installed at various sites. We started with Aviation, then Del Air, then Holly Glen. We are scheduled to start installation for the Weisberg Middle School privacy fence on October 23rd. And I wanted to share some of the pictures from our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee construction site tour. We had a great turnout. NAZ was very well represented here. I loved it, of course. We had a great turnout, not only by our board members, but also our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee members. Here are some pictures. We visited. And I mean, you can see here from August 19th, the field from dirt to what we saw today, a complete field. It's a big difference in just a month.
Yeah, we're standing on the field on the right. Yeah, that's the field.
Here's, I think I have another picture. Oh, no. Rebecca.
She nearly ran me over.
She's the reason we completed the field on time. So we took the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to look at the soccer field. We started there, took, Da Vinci was kind enough to loan us their vans so that we can go on a field trip to Del Air Elementary School to look at the TK project. We looked at the data center. We looked at the roof project and then the solar projects as well.
We didn't tell them we were taking, we just took the van.
Yeah. No, I. And we gave them back, more importantly. In condition. Because I didn't drive. And that's it. That's all I have.
Awesome.
Thank you, Noemi.
You're welcome.
Good stuff.
Miss Lisa Wilberg, you are up. Holly Glen Elementary School site.
Push her up to the end and then do everything else first.
Yeah, but you can
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me here this evening. Thank you to the board. My understanding is that all the schools will be coming and giving periodic updates on the district priority areas. So I'm happy to present a little bit of Holly Glen first, as we are a month into the school year, talking about some of the things that we've already done, and a little bit looking forward. So a quick school snapshot just of our school this year, and then a little bit about math, SWS, and reading, the district priority areas. And then a little bit about our upcoming events, in case anyone is interested in stopping by. We always have a lot going on. So a little snapshot of our school. Anything Holly Glen always has to have a bear on it, but this is a school board meeting, so he's a sophisticated bear in today's presentation. You'll see him throughout. So overall this year, we have 518 students. Sometimes that is surprising to people because they're so small, I think, but we are full and that's wonderful. It's true. People always like, what? How many?
Clean the toilet, that's
It's true. And so 518 students, our enrollment is looking great. We have 22 general education classrooms. That is 6 at kindergarten, first and second, and 4 at TK, along with various other classrooms for different support services on our campus. Our staff overall is made up of 33 certificated staff members, most of whom are full-time at Holly Glen, some of whom are shared in various ways across schools, and then 39 classified staff members, ranging from aides to our office to custodial, lunch area, all of those things. And it takes a lot of people to make Holly Glen the special place it is. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge them and thank them for everything that they do for our school every day. So the first area that we'll talk about quickly is math, which is our big push, of course, this year in terms of curriculum. So everyone knows that we've been preparing for it. We've gotten the updates last year as the math committee looked into different options, and we were super ready to hit the ground running. We had 2 days of full training leading before the school year even began, so we could get the materials in everyone's hands. It was very well attended. And then we've continued that with our weekly PLC focus during our PE times being a math focus every single week so that we can really kind of have a laser focus on one content area as we start the year. We've also increased our daily math time, and that's across all of the schools to make sure we're giving math the actual time in terms of instructional minutes that it needs. I want to take a moment to just thank all of our teachers. Eureka was chosen with good reason. It's a great program. It's very rigorous. But anytime you're bringing in a new curriculum, it really takes a lot of work. It means that the language is different, the pacing is different, the terminology is sometimes different. And I just want to acknowledge the really hard work our teachers are putting into leaning in and making it work. Because it really does take a lot. There are growing pains when you're doing something new, no matter how worthwhile it is. But it's up and running, it's happening. You see in the bottom right, that's a Eureka lesson in one of our second grade rooms. Ms. Maestro was doing a lesson on measurement that day. And everyone is really, I just couldn't applaud our teachers more for the work that they're doing. Our second graders have already taken the STAR Math benchmark right at the beginning of the year, so we could have an early data point on where our students are. So happy to have that, so we have a starting place and we can monitor our progress then as we go through the year, and we'll repeat that each quarter so we can really be keeping an eye on where our students are. And then also this year, we're going to really focus on celebrating ST Math as a school and encouraging with positive supports our student progress. So we're going to have celebrations that we announce in our weekly Zoom assemblies we do with students. We're putting a big Gigi up on a bulletin board. That's our penguin, up the ST Math penguin up in the office so we can monitor our overall school-wide progress. And I have to give a special shout out to our librarian, Renee Hubler, who has been helping me to make paper ST Math passports for all of our kindergarten, first and second grade students. And we're going to launch those next week. So we thought with the age of our students, we wanted them to have something like in their hands that they could see their progress through ST Math. And so we printed stickers for every single kid where every time you get 10% more of the program completed, you get to put like the really adorable little stickers with different animals from around the world in their passport. So they can actually physically feel and get excited, and like a sticker goes a long way when you're 5, 6, and 7. So we're really excited to be doing that. We'll be launching that next week. I'm sure Ms. Hubler never wants to see another page of those stickers ever again because she's been really helpful in getting that put together and out to everybody. So lots of really good things. I've been so happy to have Holly's support. I think I speak on behalf of all of our staff. And I've been very pleased to see how much our teachers are taking advantage of their time with her. They're signing up for lessons, for planning time with her in a calendar that she has accessible for everyone. So lots of reasons to feel very optimistic about our math progress this year. Moving on to SWS. I went too far. Moving on to SWS, in the same way that we had training before the school year in Eureka, we also had 2 days of training with Capturing Kids' Hearts. It was really impactful. I think our staff responded along with the teachers from the other elementary schools in a really, really positive way. And I'm seeing it every day at our school. I'm seeing the initial implementation for Capturing Kids' Hearts happening, those daily practices taking place. We see some of them pictured. So one practice that's I have a gazillion pictures of, it's been hard for me to even pick a few to put on this slide, is just giving students daily morning greetings. And it was something that was already happening. Our teachers are wonderful and they have big hearts and they, of course, were greeting their students. But what I can say about Capturing Kids' Hearts is I think it's brought a new intentionality to that. And it's really made us stop and realize like, this isn't just something nice, it's something like critical, that every student is being seen and named every morning. And so you see some of a lot of the teachers have taken on this practice of letting students pick their greeting. Like, do you want a fist bump? Do you want, Mrs. Herbal showed me one this morning that she was doing with her students. And it's been really lovely to see. The classes also you see pictured have class contracts. So every class went through, it's part of the Capturing Kids' Hearts work to have conversations and answer questions together about how they wanted to be treated and how they would treat one another. And every student has to agree to that contract. So it's really tiny, but the teacher obviously wrote the words on that poster, but every single handprint the student signed their own name to be part of that. So it's really about building community, which has been wonderful to see. So in addition to all of the Capturing Kids' Hearts, the practices, the weekly SEL lessons, we are also starting our monthly DEI lessons. We just started National Hispanic Heritage Month on the 15th. And so we've had our first lesson. We are moving some of those lessons and some of the stories into our library as a way of sort of making some of our practices more efficient. So Ms. Hubler's been really wonderful about being willing to participate in that and reading the stories that correlate with our different observance months. Pictured, you see teachers going above and beyond. Ms. Shoemaker invited, there was a family in her class interested in coming and being guest readers in library, and they shared a book with their class about El Salvador, and it was really a wonderful experience to hear from them. So lots of good happening. We do, as I said before, do weekly Zoom assemblies to launch our week every week, and it gives us a chance just to emphasize some of these things, emphasize what kids will be learning about in Capturing Kids' Hearts, talk about the observation months that are happening, and kind of just all start our week moving forward together on the same page. So a little bit about SWS so far. And then lastly, reading. As a primary school, like reading is critical, and so we're always thinking about it. Math, we've decided, and along with the district, to make our primary focus right now during PLC time, because we really need to make sure we're giving it time, especially as we're bringing in a new curriculum. And everyone knows that at some point in the year, once we are getting into the swing of the new math curriculum, once we've gotten through a couple of cycles of looking at data, working on that together, we will be making a shift to focusing on reading during our PLC time as well. That being said, that's not to say we aren't already thinking of it. We have screened all of our first and second graders. We screen our second graders take STAR reading, so we again have that data point for the beginning of the year. Our first graders, you see Mrs. Cheryl Howe pictured there, and she works with Octavio Gutierrez and their wonderful intervention team. They work to one-on-one screen our entire first grade class, one-on-one using the basic phonics skills test. So we do have data for our first graders as we begin the year as well. And we use that to make sure we know where kids are and to make good choices about intervening early. So we actually started our first round of intervention yesterday, and that is happening during our win time every day. We also had some teachers, as we started conversations about science of reading, about what reading looks like at Holly Glen last year in our Guiding Coalition meetings. We had an opportunity, and it was for our Guiding Coalition and our intervention teachers, for some teachers to sign up for a Getting Reading Right course that's offered through LACO. It's a self-paced online course. So we had about 8 teachers from our Guiding Coalition and intervention who opted to take that, because we're starting to learn so that when we make the shift to really make reading our primary focus during PLC time, that we're sort of ready to hit the ground running, and we've already kind of done some work in the background on that. So that's a little bit about what's happening in reading. I also do want to share that out of curiosity and because I like to know where we are. I took a look at where our reading and math for our second grade STAR tests were for the beginning of this year compared to where we were for the beginning of year last year. And I'm happy to say we are higher this year for both subject areas than we were last year. So math was a 3% and reading was more than 10% compared to where we were last year. So that made me very happy. The beginning of the year screening, it tends to be it made me very happy. It tends to be our lowest because kids are just like walking in the door and they're in a new classroom and they're little. So we also do see a lot of gains over the course of the school year, but I was still glad to see that we're going in the right direction even from the very first screening that we did. And I do want to give a special shout out that reading score, our first grade team on their own really focused on reading last year, and it really showed. Our second graders starting second grade were, I want to say 15% higher than they were at the beginning of the year last year. And that's, I think, because our first grade team in their PLC time really focused on building common assessments last year and working so hard together. So I kind of just wanted to publicly shout out their work because they really did some great things. So lots to be optimistic about. And lots happening at Holly Glen. October is an incredibly busy month. We believe really strongly in community, and I believe really strongly in making sure that everyone is welcome. And so we have lots happening. We're in the middle of our PTA fall fundraiser right now. We're about halfway to our goal. It was this fundraiser that allowed us to put interactive whiteboards in all of our first and second grade classrooms for this year, which is something new for us that we're very excited about. We have Noche de Familia Bingo and Flags Evening this Friday. That's a parent group for Spanish-speaking families that was formed last year. We have book fair, Red Ribbon Week, and then of course at the end of the month we will have our pumpkin parade and our annual literacy lantern display. So of course we invite everyone, all of the cabinet and the board, to any of those events should you ever want to stop by. And thank you for your time. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Literacy lantern days with my kids. Those were fun.
One of my favorite things, I have to say.
Still got Violet gets to do it,
She
right?
does, she does. If her mom's on top of her.
So thank you for the wonderful presentation, and I know this year, 2 major programs with Eureka and Capturing Kids' Hearts, significant implementation, so I know it's a lot of work, so thank you and I see Ms. Zerble back there, that all the teachers and the staff, thank you for all the wonderful work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. What's next? Board member reports. Becca, should we start with you today?
Sure.
Start with you.
I don't know that I have much to report. I'm trying to think what
That's okay.
what I've done.
That's
since the last- No, just, I know we're in the middle of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and have been excited to see some of the things that have been happening across the district. I saw that Del Air had an assembly with some native dancers and things like that, and so just excited about all of the things that we're doing across the district in line with the DEI work that is happening. So really excited about that. Looking forward to seeing more of that in the months to come. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Well, we did have a recent board meeting.
I know.
Dr. Goldman.
Very brief for me in respect to some of the parents who've reached out in prior years. Just want to remind the cabinet and Dr. Silvers about the Jewish holidays upcoming to ensure that the teachers are aware, so we don't have testing on those days, and be respectful of the students. And I don't want to limit it to Jewish holidays, any other religious events or celebrations that might take students out of class, to be respectful of those. That's it for me. Thank you.
We don't have very much. I just want to commend all the work that is being done. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. I was taking notes very, very diligently. I miss like getting to hear about all the littles, and that tiny toilet just brought it all back. And so yes, I'm really excited. I've been able to do a lot of the tours and seeing what's happening in the district, and it's very, very exciting things that we get to see. So thank you to the community for putting up with all of it, and thank you for the staff
for all the hard work to begin the year.
Thank you, Michelle. Roger.
Thank you, Nelson. I've just two comments. Lisa, I want to say thank you for your update. It's very informative, and I was actually gonna ask, how's the Eureka math going? But you answered all my questions. I didn't have anything to answer. Please do keep us informed. Obviously, I think it's wonderful when we can have the time also to dedicate and focus on these initiatives, because great results don't happen by themselves. So thank you, and up to all of our teachers and staff that are implementing it. Really looking forward to see what's to come. Then my last comment is, Noemi mentioned a little while ago, we're in line, or could be in line, for $4.9 million of matching funds, and she's working with King Consulting. That is dependent on the passage of Prop 2. So I know the Cash Organization has a sample template to approve a resolution in support of the Proposition 2 for the bond. I'd like to see if we can get that on one of our agendas to approve it for Wiseburn, unless that's already happened on one of the meetings that I missed. I have missed the last couple of meetings due to some family emergencies that I haven't been able to attend the board meeting. But if we can look at that resolution, there's a lot riding on it from the state. It's a $10 billion bond, and it sounds like we're in line for 4.9 million of those matching funds, which could be extended and utilized elsewhere. So if we can look at that, greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Roger. Share a lot of the same sentiments as my board members. I just love the positive, just the positive energy that's taking place around the district, and just a wonderful work. So it's been a great start to the year, and just looking forward to continuing that momentum, right? I also wanted to just make one quick mention. I'm gonna get the last name incorrect, but Miss Aiko England? England, is that correct? One of our teachers recognized by LA County Teacher of the Year, and more so was one of 16 teachers in the running for California Teacher of the Year. So big congratulations to her and her family. And I leave it on that note. Elaine?
Hey, just a real quick math update, Maggie was gonna share.
We have exciting news. I'm gonna leave to Dr. Dugal to announce about things happening at the middle school along with mathematics. But one thing that Ms. Wahlberg mentioned was our integration not only with Eureka Math, but ST Math has gone over this big kind of, I don't want to say revision, but addition to their product. And so ST Math is a wonderful product, so research based on the conceptual understanding of mathematics topics. One thing that it lacked was like that personalized piece that like kind of met a child where they're at their learning. And that's something that now they're taking the kids' STAR data and being able to integrate it and having a pathway for them. So it's like this wonderful tool that our teachers are learning how to use, this new pathway within ST that we hope will even grow our math scores even higher due to it really meeting our learners exactly where they're at and what their needs are at. So not only are we onboarding Eureka, we are learning parts of these new systems as well that are helping our kiddos greatly.
Fantastic. Love that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll add on to the math
Yes.
update. In today's certificated personnel report, one of the recommendations we have that we're bringing forward is Christina Navarro Aguirre as our new middle school math TOSA. She's coming with a lot of experience as a coach, and most recently as the assistant director at UCLA Math Project Center X, which comes with just great prestige to get somebody from that program. Prior to UCLA, she was an elementary school teacher locally and with LA Unified. And so we're excited to really have her support the math initiative at the middle school. So it'll be a great new beginning for the middle school in terms of math.
When will she begin?
She will begin in the next 2 weeks. She is giving her transition to Center X as well.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, can I take it away? Sean,
Yeah.
you have an update? I'm just kidding.
All that, I was like, I don't have anything prepared, but I was just kind of grinding through something in my head over the last 2 days.
Well, sorry, and I didn't check with Monique or Kim. Do you all have something that you wanted to add? I apologize. Okay. Could Monique?
Yeah, of course. No, I just wanted to mention and acknowledge that the board has been asking for us to be able to develop an equitable and comprehensive way of acknowledging DEI celebrations. It's a challenge, right? Because not only is our community so diverse, but like our broader community and the world, and we want to make sure that we're acknowledging and recognizing everybody, right? And just an example of how challenging that is this month, you'll see you have resolutions
Oh,
for
yeah.
you, right? For Red Ribbon Week, which is towards the end of the month, and Bullying Prevention Month, and also celebrating National Custodian Day, which is on the 2nd. And with those, Soka Takun reminded us that in October on the 14th also starts National School Lunch Week, which we want to be able to acknowledge as well. So already one missed for this year, but kind of acknowledging now. So it is a big challenge. Part of the goal of bringing these resolutions forward is to make sure that we're promoting a sense of belonging and inclusion, and making sure we're supporting education related to different topics, experiences, and cultures, which of course is in line with our goals and values for this district. And so one way that we could approach this is by developing a strong and clear statement for where Wiseburn stands in relation to DEI, right? Like acknowledging that it's important to us, that we're consistently and constantly addressing it and celebrating it, and treating that statement kind of like some communities treat a land acknowledgement, where we state this, we recite this statement once a month at our board meetings, just kind of giving this broad stance of how we approach diversity and education in our district. And in addition to that, we can also acknowledge the resolutions that are acknowledged by our state and federal agencies, but just putting emphasis on this general statement of where we stand and reminding our community of that on a regular basis. Just a suggestion and a thought. So I'd love your thoughts, and if that's something we're interested in, we can move forward with exploring.
We see a draft.
So, well, I'm sorry,
No, that was it.
I didn't hear you. I'm
Just
sorry.
gonna see a draft. I mean, it's
Of
hard to get
course,
my
of
head
course.
around what that would be.
Yeah,
without seeing
yeah.
it.
I think, and there's some exemplars out there that we could bring to the board, do some wordsmithing on them. But I think one of the things too that we would do on a monthly basis is still celebrate those, and like we celebrate, whatever, we look at the list. I mean, I don't know where this list lives, but it lives somewhere. And also I know that Monique has been compiling a lot of, requests from community members through the DEI portal and website communications and so forth. So I think that we also want to highlight that. So not just the commitment or the statement, but also highlighting that month kind of celebrations, not calling them these formal resolutions, but still calling it out, and certainly backing that up with instructional support for teaching about those particular recognitions. So it's more of a recognition than a resolution, but to still recognize.
I like the idea, definitely open to receiving some information on it, Neil said.
I'll just jump in. I think I'm definitely in support of the district having some sort of formal statement or policy on what our DEI, belonging and justice, right? Like DEI BJ statement is, JP, whatever, however you do that acronym to make it all inclusive. So I'm fully in support of us doing that kind of statement. I think I want to balance it with making sure that we continue to recognize and provide resolutions and to show that we're not doing the statement in lieu of having a formal acknowledgement of these things. I think, just like the president or the governor is out there, every year saying we're recognizing, Cesar Chavez Day or, Juneteenth now as a federal holiday. I want us to continue to do that. I've definitely seen districts around the country, around the state, starting to formally say, we're not gonna do a resolution for X, Y, and Z, and I don't want the community to feel like we're not doing resolutions in that same vein, right? That we've done this general statement, so we're pulling back. So whatever we do, I wanna make sure that we're balancing it with actually, this is us going a step further and saying we really do value these things, while also doing it. So just wanted to, I think it's a great idea. We should have a policy or statement, and happy to have us repeat it as often and wherever people want to hear it. But also want to make sure that we're still doing some of the formal recognition of things, especially ones that we've historically done, to maintain that for the community.
I think bring the suggestion forward, and then I guess as a board, we'll kind of make a determination.
So I guess asking kind of for work product type direction? So are you looking for a statement plus a list of, so, because that's gonna change, you know what I mean? Because it's sort of an iterative, product.
Give us an example for the next month, what it would look like.
Yeah.
That's it.
Fair enough.
Did I understand it, that it was like were you saying a statement or a monthly resolution that basically supports our position, on a monthly basis, right? And then you would still celebrate the particular, like in this case, National Custodian Day and all that stuff, but it would be an ongoing resolution and encompasses everything, because I think you're afraid that between the state, the federal, and the local, that we may be leaving out or excluding others.
Right, so the
Is
statement
that-
would be constant, right? So
Yeah.
we would decide on a statement that stays. the
Is
same.
that statement a resolution? Is it is it a monthly resolution, or is it
I
a
think
st-
we
statement?
would resolve to agree that this is our statement that we consistently say every month.
Okay.
So that's.
It would be like.
And after that, we would recognize specifically A, B, C, and D.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I support that conceptually, as long as we're documenting that we're supporting these things and have a blanket overview statement, to me, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I think, I guess bring it forward so we kind of get an idea, right?
Yeah, more information, and I think, something I mentioned before was, what is that list of federal and state things that are being recognized, right? And so that we're consistent with it, the very least those, and then maybe we're adding on, right? For
That are
like, for,
local.
right, yeah, so. I would like that.
Clarification. What we're saying is, sorry.
Well, I'm actually concerned that what resolutions or statements, I would like to see the list, but I also want to be careful that we're, as a district, not venturing into other areas where we're potentially excluding or missing some, so I'm not entirely sure that we want to see a list of 5,000 resolutions.
No.
I don't know, so when we say all federal, all state, I don't know what that means. I mean, I'd like to see what we've done. And I think we've actually passed that already. I think we already did that here.
Yeah.
And we have an approved
Right,
list of like 18 or however many there were. I personally wasn't looking for a list of 5,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't take that number literal, 200, pick a number. But I wanna make sure we're like,
Your
I guess
point.
in alignment with what we've
From
done before and not
financial-
going into a whole different realm, because yes, we are here to educate students and to be inclusive. That's to educate students is our main mission, obviously, but I guess I'm just concerned that we're going into a very different direction, that we're not staying focused on what we're truly here to do, is educate our students by these resolutions, because there's so many to do. I think that having more of that general, all-inclusive statement, so that we're not excluding someone, I think that's where we're headed. Maybe I misunderstood you.
I think that's what you're proposing.
Right.
Is, because if that's what you're saying, then I'm all in,
I
I'm
think so.
all in favor versus developing a huge list and trying to capture every single entity. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that.
No, I think we're on the same page. So the idea would be we have this one general statement. But in addition to that, we're recognizing DEI related resolutions in the state that are also recognized at the state or federal levels, which is about 10. And so
Okay.
the ones that you've approved already is in alignment with most of those resolutions. There's some that we don't have, like Social Justice Week. But for the most part, the list that you've already approved is in alignment with.
Because we have that. That's why I wanted to make sure that we're talking about the same thing.
Right.
We've already actually done that as a board.
Right.
So, okay.
Then you got clear direction on, I think we're gonna see something. We're gonna see a proposal with this statement, and then each month you still recognize the
Right, like
particular.
verbally recognize like your teacher appreciation.
Right. Okay, all right, well, let's look at that and then. Does that give you enough?
Yeah, I think we should move up. I mean, the bottom line is we have our set of resolutions for this year, so this is a work in progress. I think my hope is that we're gonna continue with the set of resolutions that were approved for this year, and that will bring back a new sort of process for next year, for next school year.
I agree with that, because if
That's
we
fair.
need to look at it and see what. it
Yeah,
looks like.
great. So that gives us some time,
Yeah.
to do that planning. So it's perfect. Okay, I'll take it away. I don't know if, sorry, Nisha, you're done, Kim, you're good. Okay. just a few updates, for me, I wanted to share, I did reach out, I don't remember if I announced this at the last board meeting. There was a group of community members that had reached out about safety on 135th and aviation. We are, looking at partnering with the city of Hawthorne to put some kind of speed mitigation. I know what that means, I don't know what that looks like, per se. But some sort of speed mitigation, whether it be bumps or, a speed bump or lights or something of that nature that they would put those on 135th between aviation and Glasgow. That's really that thoroughfare, probably the more dangerous, but not a lot of stop signs. So working with them on that, hopefully I have an update at the next board meeting as to how that goes. As well as, looking at an opportunity to partner with the city on a crossing guard program. So a program that they're currently supporting Hawthorne School District with. My argument is that, they're protecting all schools in Hawthorne and we should be protected as well. What that would mean for us is maybe some additional crossing guards, at best, I think at worst, we're looking at sharing the cost of our current crossing guard, fees or current crossing guard payments. So looking forward to bringing that back to the board, hopefully with some next steps. Also looking at the parking situation on ISIS. I don't have any indication yet. That's a relatively new, new addition or new message. And so I don't have a ton of guidance, hopefully tomorrow or in the coming days.
We may have another option proposed.
Yeah, at the middle school there. So
Leave that up to you guys.
perfect. So I'll bring that back to you all. Also want to share, I did have 2 meetings today. They were really long meetings today. No, I'm just kidding. We did have a couple of meetings today related to profiles of a learner. Really excited in October, I think 16th, 17th. We're gonna take a trip to San Diego to go look at Cajon Valley and Poway. Look at some career connected learning programs that are there, just to kind of see how we can, obviously how we can move forward in that area, but really looking at how we can create some sort of continuity between our TK-12. I think you saw that, I think we talked about that, sorry, last meeting, but just wanted to share, we are well underway. There also talked about summer camp program, looking at some of the details, doing a little bit of a recap on last year, but more so looking at what we may do different next year for the summer program. It's a 6-week program, if you recall, in partnership with the Ed Foundation, the Da Vinci's Schools Fund. So more to come on that, but really exciting. A lot learned last summer, and I think that it's a bright future as it relates to summer in Wiseburn. Also want to talk a little bit about a little bit of an update on WEF. Did have an opportunity to attend their meeting. 2 items that I wanted to bring to the board. One is we are looking at potentially a grant writer. I did share that as well, but it's actually, on the streets, if you will. We're looking at bringing in some applications, reviewing those applications, and then discussing with WEF kind of what that would look like from a funding standpoint. But it is right now set for a 6-month. It's a work from home type deal. It's not full time, but just kind of project based, about $50,000 over 6 months, with the possibility of extending it another 6 months, another $50K, just so that we can work through or attack some of these grants that are out there and just have that expertise, sort of in-house, quasi in-house, so that we can move forward there. The second is to support a grant that WEF received as it relates to performing arts, doing a musical again at the middle school. Huge, wonderful thing that we've been able to do in the past, and the pandemic happened and we haven't been able to get back to that, but are looking at bringing on some sort of musical director, musical assistant of some sort to help support the drama program and put on a musical that was part of a grant WEF wrote last year. I think it's a $15,000 grant or something. It would probably be a Broadway in the Box type play, and go from there. Just wanted to share that. I don't know how that will come back to you, but in some ways wanted you to know. I don't know if it's a personnel item or what, but we'll definitely keep you updated there.
So question on the grant, right?
Sure.
Is the time to cost share with WEF, like, so that the person that is ready for WEF grants as well as for the district?
Totally, yeah. And I'm sorry, I should have said, and part of why I wanted to announce it, I want to say thank you to Erin Keller, who's not here today. Does some, her job is doing some of this recruiting, and so she's been helping us put this out, to people so that we can start gathering some of that some of those applicants to start doing that work. So just wanted to thank her for her support there. And of course, should thank Willis and Nick McLaughlin for both being a part of the summer planning program as well. It's just a lot of WEF representation there to help support the district. I also am gonna share that I had an opportunity today to meet with Dean Zarate at LMU. She's new, started July, and really is looking to wrap LMU around some of the community schools. And they actually have a community schools initiative, not to be confused with the community schools initiative. I don't know how you confuse the two, except they have the same name. So I was confused. I'm sure you all would be, but it's UCLA has a model where they did these community schools. Basically, they're taking college or university resources and helping support schools, whether it be through mathematics instruction, whether it be through, it could be medical support. You know, if they have a program there, it's using whatever resources the school has, expanding on them and going out to get grants together to help support, you know, K-12 education, public schools and all of that. So really excited about the program. Sounded great. Sounded like a really nice opportunity to leverage a local partner, a local university partner. We actually even talked today about, as we look at the profiles of a learner work, is having some sort of university representation on that, because obviously that's what we're trying, you know, for some of our kids, that's where they're trying to go. You know, you have workforce, of course, but you also want to have some of that secondary or higher education involved as well. So more to come on that, but I thought it was a really nice program that they're doing there. Overall, I just want to say thank you to Tony. He's sitting back there. I mean, it's been a tough run. You know, I'll tell you, you know, having the technology operating or not operating the way it is or the way it's supposed to be, and you know, having to hear phone calls from all of us probably at various times. Thank you for putting up with it, and it's a struggle. We know it's a struggle, and thank you for handling it with grace and so forth. So just wanted to put that out there. I know it's been hard. Yeah, it's been a challenge, but thank you for that. Overall, I just want to say, you know, as we finish this first month of school, we also have it's a lot going on. You know, there's a lot going on with carports and fences and, you know, half fields, all of that stuff, and you know, nails on the ground. I think some of us even had nails on our tires. But just the idea that you know, our community really stepped up, you know, to this, and you know, our teachers, you know, have to walk further because parking isn't what it was, and just the planning, just the chaos in some ways. It's organized chaos in some ways, but it's still chaotic, you know. And I just want to, it wasn't planned. It's obviously something that we were hoping was done before, and you know, our best hopes didn't come to fruition. And so here we are just navigating it. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their patience, flexibility, and so forth. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Noemi. I mean, all of this, you know, has to be quarterbacked and has to be planned.
The nails?
I mean, heck, the nails in the tire. She actually is one that stuck the nail in my tire. No, but just did want to thank Noemi and Cherie and Celeste and Greg and Miguel for their effort and their work. I mean, there are a lot of projects, and they're across more than 4 sites, really. I mean, it's really over several sites, and you know, I tease her about the long presentations, but the reality is it's a lot of work that's being done. And you know, I wouldn't be me if I didn't tease, but still we see that this is a really, really nice set of projects that are out there. So thank you for your leadership there. That's all I have today. Sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
Nelson, can I just add something
Yes,
that was brought to my attention by a number of community members who were asking why we were doing this during the beginning of the school year. I wanted to remind everybody that this was scheduled, and Noemi, compliments to you for getting all the resources arranged for the summer. So this would have all been done before summer, but DSA is DSA and approvals are approvals. And so then the question was asked, well, why didn't we delay till next year? Well, there's some funding that's on the line by a certain date, and if we didn't do it then. So I just want to let people know we're not oblivious to those concerns, and it was unfortunate circumstance, but there's more than $1.5 million on the line here that we would lose. So we really didn't have a choice. We just had to proceed.
Yeah, it's like several million. Yeah.
So I just want to share that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Neil. Thank you, Blake. All right. Wendy, any public comments on agenda items?
I do not have comments.
All right, let's move to consent items. Do I have a motion and a second for 10.1?
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca.
My second.
Michelle, any comments or questions? Comments or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That's good.
Good consent. Let's do it this time.
Hey, I like it.
Actual things that we can
All right. Do I have a motion and a second for 11.1 through 11.4 on general items?
Do we need to take that individually? Yeah. So moved.
Hey, Rebecca. Second?
I'll second.
You know what people were gonna say about, we should do it at all 11.1 through point four.
We should
Else
have
it's
to
right.
acknowledge First, acknowledge 11.2.
What's that?
I can speak to both 11.2 and 11.3.
Yes.
We are looking forward to our continued collaboration and discussion with WFA. So they've given us their initial proposal for bargaining for the 24-25. And in response, we also have our initial proposal as well to be approved by the board.
Thank you. Okay, I have a motion for Rebecca. I think a second from Roger, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Absent. Fiscal approved MOU with Lennox School District for 2024-25 school year. Do you have a motion?
Go ahead.
Is that Michelle? And
Second.
second. Any comments or questions on this?
Could Kim just talk to whether we've had a adaptive PE instructor in the district before and whether this is covering additional students or?
No, this is, every year for the last several years, we've had an MOU with Lennox to provide that. So we share their adaptive PE teacher to support our students. So currently it's about 20 students that we have.
And do they get in a separate class or this instructor is coming in?
This is an instructor coming in that provides pull-out support in addition to their regular PE classes on specific goals for students, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Upcoming dates, so, our next board meeting is scheduled for October 10th. I know that Roger and I have a conflict with that. Not sure if we have an alternative date, if we could move it maybe up to the 8th. Neil, Michelle, you.
I would love that, actually.
Yeah, good for the 8th.
That would be better. Yeah.
Rebecca? Would the 8th work?
We have a conflict that day, Nisha. You have a conflict that day. We have a quarterly collaborative.
How about the 9th?
The 9th?
Can do the 9th as well.
9th is a Wednesday.
I can't be there.
We can't do 9th.
What about
I
the
can
7th?
reschedule.
7th? Would the 7th work? The Monday the 7th?
Or,
We can reschedule quarterly collaborative.
for you. Okay, well then, okay, then we need
Oh.
to show for the 8th. We just try to.
Are you sure?
I'll move it to Thursday.
If we can do the 8th, that would work. All right.
What did you decide? I'm
October
sorry.
8th. Does that
I
work?
thought you couldn't do it.
She's
moving
it
it.
to the quarterly collaborative.
Sure, the collaborators will love it.
So we're good, Neil.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, thank you.
Right, that includes the public hearing movement to that date too, just so it'll be different from the dates you have.
Yeah, we had the 10th, I think, as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'll take the time.
it's fine timeline wise, yeah.
What other upcoming dates or events? Is that all you have?
That's for me, I'm sorry. We have a regularly scheduled meeting on the wrong date. It shows it on the 10th.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It'll be there. We'll leave it at, we'll just leave it at that today.
Okay. All right. That adjourns the meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
One final comment, love to have a conversation perhaps offline about scheduling of the launch of the groundbreaking for the, not groundbreaking, but
We're gonna talk about that at all?
Let's rewind the tape here.
That was a test for first.
Well, you figured it out. Great. You know, it's your journey yet, so great.
So we are looking at, do we get a date set, Noemi?
We said October 23rd or 25th. So that's a Wednesday or a Friday. So if we could set a date that would
We're gonna have food, come one, come all, right?
be exact. We'll have a couple of food trucks.
Got some food trucks and, I think we could, we could get a big pair of scissors, you know,
Right.
really nice.
What time will it do?
Did you have a time in mind?
We could do it after.
5 o'clock?
Four
any
o'clock.
possibility of 21 or 22?
You're unavailable.
I'm unavailable.
And Michelle's unavailable.
Probably 5 because of school, yeah,
So Blake, Neil and Michelle are unavailable.
okay. So let's do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Seconds of work.
On both dates?
No, I can do, 23rd is good.
That's the day we get.
Okay.
Okay, so run with October 23rd?
No, cause.
Can we move to the next month? I mean, the next, yeah, the next
Well,
week.
how many of you can't make the 25th? If it's just me, then.
What about the 22nd?
Neil can.
Oh, you can't do the 22nd?
I can do the 22nd.
22nd.
We have a board
Can
meeting.
we take
Yeah.
part of the board meeting?
Can we do it a little prior to the board meeting? A little prior to the board, what time were you thinking, Noemi?
On the 24th?
22nd.
Oh, 22nd is the board meeting?
I think it's pretty ambitious probably, right? Cause with them bringing food trucks out and they'd be pretty quick. So that we'd only really have an hour, cause it'd be too much to drive a bunch of cars and have an event at 4 o'clock because the high school is dismissal.
Can we do it on the 24th?
I have a feeling probably not, because we moved it to 22nd for a reason, right? I'm available the 24th.
I can do the 21st.
Oh, but Neil, you're not available the 24th.
But that's fine. I mean, if I'm the only one, that's
We
fine.
can do the. Works if that, everyone's available.
Are you available on the 21st? Short of the patient.
21st works for me.
The Monday, so.
21st. I won't, I'm in San Francisco on the 21st.
23rd?
We still have the board meeting on the 25th, right? 22nd.
Sorry.
How about, can we get you dates? Maybe that way we can do some research on what dates. I mean, we also have other people that we're trying to bring in, so maybe we can.
Can everyone make the 20? Can everyone make the 23rd or? Oh, no, Neil can't make the 23rd.
But if I'm the only one, that's fine.
Michelle can.
I can do the 23rd.
And Neil, what day can you make?
I can do the 21, it's just 23, 4, 5, I'm out, that's.
So 22 you can make.
Yeah.
And 21, yeah, 21. What about the 21st?
I'm not here.
Oh, you're not here. I give up, let's reschedule.
Are you available on the 21st?
Great, just keep it.
This wasn't working. We'll get something out.
I started with this offline.
Yeah, when do you get back?
I moved to adjourn, not so.
What about the 28th? 28th or 29th?
How about the 28th?
You adjourn?
No, yeah.
Oh, shoot, I'm not here.
We'll go with dates, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well.
Adjourn.
Move in a second. All right, we're done.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.